Tim. Yes, two things. The first is that I think everyone probably remembers this gavel. This is one of the treasures that we found from our removal from York Gate. Now, on it was inscribed, presented annually to the RIBI President by the Rotary Club of London. I, of course, as Tim's predecessor, presented this to the RIBI President at our last Stanley Leventon Day. It was then returned to our club, and now it gives me great pleasure to hand this over to our new President so that it can be transmitted to our new RIBI President at the next Stanley Leventon Day. Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you. And secondly, if I may indulge myself slightly, and perhaps stealing a little bit of thunder from our new president. I do like my new letter, by the way. About 4 years ago, I was honoured to be presented the Neville Shillman's Charity Cup. Now that gave me an inspiration, and then I really wanted to create a new award within the CNV committee, but for one reason or another it never happened. And when I was elected president, I knew this would be my opportunity. Now, I had to think about it very carefully, because I want this award to be something that complements and builds upon Neville's great work. And today, after a bit of arm twisting, the President has given me permission to give this award, the Rotary Club of London President's Award. Now, this is, it's got nothing to do with charitable work within the club. It's got nothing to do with how many committees an individual sits or how many Monday meetings he or she attends. But this award is presented by presidents every year to a member who has supported him or her most during this year. And it is the President's sole discretion to present this to whoever he or she wishes. I think by now most of you would have already known or would have guessed who I'm going to present this to. Tim, without your support, my year would have been much more difficult to handle. Without your support, this club wouldn't have achieved as much, and without your support, I wouldn't have enjoyed my year as much as I did. Tim, what a wise choice to allow me to make this presentation so you can collect it. And now it gives me great delight to present this bowl to you, President Tim. Thank you very much, President. Thank you. What a beautiful cup. Thank you very much indeed for that. I can indeed drink champagne out of it. All right. Thank you, Dave. It's now my turn to say a few words to you. And I want to start by saying it's an enormous honour and privilege for me to be elected as president of this very, very prestigious club. And I will do my best to uphold its traditions, its reputation, and its very high standards. Today is my opportunity to let you get to know me a little better, and then to set out my plans for the club during my year in office. Past President Clive Amos and I had a chat after Paul Winner's funeral last month, and we concurred that it's amazing what you find out about people after they've passed away, and wish you'd actually known when they were alive. So on that basis, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself. Now, you've all got bulletins on your table, and you're all sent the bulletins every week. And on there is a brief bio about me and the various things I've done in my life. But my absolute focus for all my working life has been Snappy Snaps. And that story goes back to 1976. I had left school in July that year, aged 18. I had 2 pretty appalling A-levels to my name, absolutely no idea what I wanted to do, and I had £1,000 in the bank. Now, I'd accumulated the £1,000 because somewhere along the way I got into my head that I actually liked earning money. And since the age of 13, I've been doing a paper round and working in a grocery shop every weekend. By 2006, some 30 years later, my business partner and I owned and ran the retail brand Snappy Snaps. which peaked at 155 shops, employed 600 staff and turned over 30 million. So how did that come about? What happened in those 30 years? Well, I'm not going to drag this out for hours and hours and hours, but I'll give you a brief synopsis. I think in hindsight, it was a combination of luck, of opportunity, and certainly of hard work. The beginning was 1976. Very different world to the world that we see today. In those days, inflation was running at 16.5%. The Cod War was in full swing, with British and Icelandic ships bumping into each other in the North Sea. The very first Concorde flight took off for New York. The Provisional IRA were regularly exploding numerous bombs all over the UK. The Queen opened the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham. Brent Cross was opened. Anita Roddick opened the first body shop. And the summer saw a heat wave, 15 days of temperatures of over 35 degrees. Now, but today, that would be called global warming. In those days, nobody knew what global warming was. Funny, though. Anyway, in the middle of all that going on, there I was, nowhere to go, and with my £1,000. So I got no desire or inclination to go to university. I think if someone had suggested it, and opened the door to some hapless course, I probably would have gone, because there were no tuition fees to pay in those days. It was an easy thing to do. But I didn't. And in early September, a good friend from school announced, I'm going to become a chartered accountant. And I said, well, what's that? And he sort of vaguely explained to me. And to do that, I had to attend a one-year course at a college. And I went along to see the college. And the course tutor who interviewed me was very keen that I attended, because he wanted bums on seats, he needed numbers. And there were no heady questions such as, why do you want to be a chartered accountant? Or indeed, he didn't look at my two stunningly bad A-level grades. He just wanted me there. But I actually enjoyed that course, and I went on to do 4-year articles with a small firm of accountants, and I finally qualified in 1981. So perhaps accountancy might have been my life, but it wasn't to be. My business partner, whom I've known from school since the age of 13, and I had got other ideas. And we started talking of all kinds of businesses that we might or might not do. And then we saw a seminar advertised introducing this brand new concept from America called franchising. Now, the seminar was most informative and led us both to conclude that franchising was the thing we wanted to do. We focused on retail, and we opened our first Call Quick printing shop in 1982 in Notting Hill Gate. And it was not long before we wanted to open our second franchise. This was a franchise. And off the back of 1 year's trading at Notting Hill, we somehow managed to persuade an institutional landlord to grant us a 25-year lease on a large shop in High Street, Kent, opposite the station. The problem was that whilst Call Quick worked nightly on the ground floor, we had a first floor with absolutely no idea what we wanted to do. So we had this crazy idea of opening a wine bar. Now, I was very, very, very good at drinking wine. I knew very little about it, and my business partner was teetotal. So it was an interesting match. But anyway, we opened it anyway. We called it Benedict's, because we'd both been to a Benedictine school called St. Benedict's. And our idea was it was on the first floor, all the way up the stairs, we had pictures of Benedictine monks. Really trendy stuff. Anyway, getting a liquor license out of Hammersmith Magistrate's licensing committee was extremely daunting, but we managed to do so in the end. Although ironically, I ended up as chairman of that same Magistrate's licensing committee some years later. So we were up to 2 shops, a wine bar, operating from 8 in the morning until we closed the wine bar at 11 at night. We opened 2 more Call Quick shops. So we then made a conscious decision not to expand Call Quick as franchisees, but we decided we want to become franchisors. So the question was, should we do instant print or should we do wine bars? Which should we franchise? And then my business partner went off to Vancouver and came back and told me all about this great machine he had seen in a shopping centre. It was the only one in Vancouver, churning out instant pictures, people's prints. And there was a queue of people actually there all day long watching prints come out. It was so novel. Can you imagine that? Actually, the novelty of seeing pictures coming out before your eyes. So that was it. We decided that was what we wanted to do, and that's what we decided to franchise. And we opened our first store in Queensway, West London. We opened 4 corporate stores in the end, and in 1986 we set off on our franchising route. And there's a whole other story as to how we get to the 155, which I'm not going to go into now. Today, Snappy Snaps, of course, has had to change. It's had the digital revolution. We've moved from analog to digital, and the whole focus of the business is completely different. It's now about passport pictures, visa photographs, studio portraits, retail frames, anything that can't actually be done at home. So it's where you actually need to go and get something done. We sold out to Timpsons in 2013, which made a lot of sense for them, and that is basically the story of Snappy Snaps. I think my biggest regret in hindsight was initially undervaluing what we had and what we could have done with it. I think if we'd taken it to the States, where franchising, as I said, was evolving at a much faster pace than the UK, I think we, without a doubt, could have given the photo chains there a very good run for their money. But we didn't, and if we all had hindsight, the world would be a different place. So that's a little bit about me. Anybody still awake? Fine. So now let's move on to the Rotary Club of London. When Louis took over last year, he stated that his aims and goals would extend for a 2-year period. In similar vein, my objectives are to update, expand and enhance on the goals that he had set out. And this will also be done on the basis of a 2-year plan in conjunction with Stefan, my Vice President. During his year, Louis has put in place several blocks, which I hope very much to build on. The overriding theme of his year was recruitment and retention, and this will continue to be my main focus. And there's a number of specific areas which this theme has encompassed. First of all, I want to talk about corporate membership. There's a number of clubs now are successfully introducing this category of membership. We have got 2 corporate bodies on the verge of being inducted into our club, with a third possibly being discussed. The 2 that are in place and ready to go are both with thanks to Brian Sluice, who's not here today, he's travelling. They are the Salvation Army headquarters and Reliance Bank, and I hope to be inducting them both very shortly into this club. A corporate membership will allow staff from those organisations concerned to attend our Monday meetings, as well as other social functions. Once signed up, this should both increase our Monday attendances as well as some of our event attendances. And the key to making it work will be how, of course, our events and our Mondays are promoted within those organisations. Secondly, it is critical that we continue to have a flow of first-rate Monday speakers. And I'm well aware, very well aware, that a number of our members look to see who's speaking each week and then decide whether to come or not. That's why there's a table free down the end there. Joke. Anyway, I'm very much indebted to Anthony Newton, for continually sourcing a range of interesting speakers for this club. Thank you very much, Anthony, for doing that. And you are amply assisted by other key members. Barsi, in particular, you organised a fantastic ladies, what was it called? International Ladies' Day, wasn't it? Fantastic, and you bring along a lot of other speakers. Thank you very much, Barsi. And while I'm on the subject of speakers, I will, as ever, thank Janet very much for maintaining our schedule and keeping a grip on what's going on. And we now have Mondays pretty well booked right through to 2020, I'm pleased to say. Having said all that, it's the responsibility of all members of this club to keep their ears and their eyes open whenever you're out and about at a function or an event and you're talking to someone and you think, that's an interesting person to speak to. Get their card, see if they're interested in coming along, and then speak to either Anthony or myself, and we can follow through, or you can follow through yourself. So it doesn't just have to be down to Anthony, Barsi and others. Thirdly, our geographical area encompasses the City of London, and we do not make use of this connection. David Johnson, there's David. David Johnson has agreed to lead an initial event in the city in the autumn, which will take the Rotary Club of London to the city. Between our members, we must have dozens of contacts, and the idea will be to invite them to a reception, possibly a dinner, along with our own members, to introduce them to Rotary and see possibly what synergies we have going forward. If things go well, it is possible we might then have quarterly evening club meetings there, but let's just do one step at a time and see how we go. But we should make use of the city. A new initiative will be designed to tackle the issue of integrating younger people into our club. And it's something everyone always says, oh, we want more younger people, want more younger people. Okay, well, how are we going to do it? Traditionally, Rotaract has been run as like a separate organisation to Rotary. And a number of Rotaract clubs have failed due to the lack of that tie. Now, our just retired District Governor, Mike Wren, as in midnight last night, has been tasked from today with a better coordination and integration of Rotaract clubs within our district. And his plan is to form new clubs which are actively supported by Rotary clubs, such that the Rotarian members will be invited to certain of their activities at their club and will invite the Rotaracts to come to certain activities at our club. So there is a strong link between the two. That ties in very nicely with the aim, and in speaking to our Vice President, Stefan, he not only wants to set up such a Rotaract club, linked to the Rotary Club of London, but also has a number of young aspiring members from the medical world who are keen to join such an organisation. So we're off to a good start. Thank you very much, Sabrina, for offering to assist. That will be your task. As with new members, what we do is usually now allocate them to committees. You are allocated to Stefan and his special project, because you've done this before, so that's excellent. We do now have some great leaflets. You can see them on the table. There are promotional leaflets, and do make use of these, because it's easy sometimes at social events to say, oh, you're a member of Rotary, and they say no, and how do you then explain anything about Rotary in a couple of minutes? It's very hard. So it's good if you all have a couple of these with you. They just tell you a little, or tell somebody a little bit about the Rotary Club of London, what we do, where we meet, what we do. And on the back is an application form for joining the club. So something just to bear in mind. Chicago, thank you very much. Don't run away, I'm about to introduce you. This is Chicago, and she has produced these leaflets. They're very, very useful going forward. Thank you. Now, Louis, during his years, introduced a whole range of incentives to motivate and stimulate our members. And it is important you all actually know what those are. And I bet you, when I run through this list, there's going to be something you say, oh, I didn't know that. So do listen, because it relates to all of you. First of all, we now have an attendance award. It's presented every month, and it is a bottle of champagne for the person who attends the most in the previous month. If there's a draw between a number of people, then it is literally drawn to decide who's going to get that bottle. Secondly, if there's any birthdays, there's no birthdays this week. If there's a birthday, you now get a Rotary Club of London pen given to you. If you bring in 3 new members in the Rotary year to the club, your subscriptions for the following year are waived.
Wow.
They have to be Pucker approved members, and the offer applies to everybody in the club apart from past President Clive Amos, who is specifically excluded. Sorry, Clive. If you bring along any prospective new members to a Monday lunch, they get one free lunch. Okay? And if you bring along a group, maybe bring along a group one day because there's a particular speaker you want to hear, if you fill a table of 8, you get 2 free bottles of wine on that table. Okay? So that's the incentives, the current incentives. And I'm pleased to say that the June Attendance Award, I think it's the 2nd time this person has won it, goes to Giovanni. Again! You were the one drawn out of the hat, along with all the others. Well done, Gio. Fantastic.
If I drink all this stuff, this is the second one I've had.
Well, if you drink it all, you'll probably flat out and not make the next meeting, and then you won't win the next month. So there you go. I'm also proposing an additional retention initiative. We do have members occasionally, from time to time, who join the club, attend a few meetings, and then disappear. And it happens in every club. It's not unique to our club, but maybe it's not what they expect it to be, I don't know. It could be for all sorts of reasons. But what I want to make sure is that it's not that they feel isolated in any way. So going forwards, all new members, as you heard today, will be allocated to a specific committee, and it will be up to the chairs of those committees to ensure they integrate those new members into the mailings and meetings of that committee. House and Fraternal this year has been split, with Tom Swainland the Chair of House and Julian as the Chair of Fraternal. And in that capacity I've asked Julian, assisted by Clive, to coordinate periodic new member evenings for our new members. It's something that anyway happens at district level, and it's not in lieu of the district new members evenings, but it's something I want to start in this club. It's away from our Monday lunches, it will be much more informal, and the idea is that people get to know the club members in a social environment away from our lunches. On the administrative front, most of you have now been welcomed by the smiling face of Paul Wilson. Where is the smiling face of Paul Wilson? Yeah. Where is he? There he is, just stand up so everyone can see you. Paul has been brought on board to assist the House Committee with Monday check-ins, and from all accounts you're doing a great job, Paul, so thank you very much for taking it. Now, you will have noticed that the quarterly business meetings have been reformatted during Louis' year, so that written reports are sent out by committee chairs in advance, and the chairs are there then available to answer questions at those meetings. And the purpose of this is to make those meetings a little bit less structured and rigid, and also giving the opportunity for our new members to actually give a talk about themselves. So I will certainly be continuing that format through the next year. In the November quarterly business meeting specifically, our two scholars for the year will be introducing themselves to the club. Now, the overall membership now stands at 109, and I hope with all those above measures that we can at least get to 120 by this time next year. There's a lot of events taking place in the next 12 months. Please do read your bulletins. All the dates for these events are on the bulletins. You can take a hard copy here, or it is sent to you every Tuesday. But that's all the dates you need to know. The first one of these, following the successful twinning with the Rotary Club of Capri in May, I'm taking a delegation back there from the 4th to the 6th of October. I'm still awaiting final details, but in summary, we will fly out on the Friday morning to Naples, we will see Pompeii, we will visit the world's largest pasta factory, and then spend one night in Gragnano in the foothills. We will then on the Saturday move over to Capri and have an amazing meeting with the Rotary Club of Capri. They meet on a Saturday evening in the 5-star Quisiana Hotel, and then we return home on the Sunday evening. Delegation is open to you all. You're all welcome to come. It's not the officers or the chairman of the committees. Everybody's welcome. So the flyer will be going out. If you can attend, that's great. The more the merrier. They sent 32 people to this club, remember, about 3 months ago. Leonardo next year is in Vienna, 7th to the 10th of May, including, as Nono and I have both said, an optional extra night on the Thursday for those who wish to visit the Viennese opera. Leonardo is a fantastic event. If you haven't attended one before, it's a group of about 12 Rotary clubs from around Europe who get together, give an award presentation and get to know each other socially. Very, very, very well worth attending. Nono, thank you very much again for agreeing to coordinate delegates going from this club. And the question that always gets asked is, what is the opera? And the answer is apparently William Tell, but there will be more details to follow. My president's trip will be to Tel Aviv, and the likely date is the first week of June. I will be flying out there in 2 weeks' time to finalise the hotel, the sightseeing and the restaurants, and will then let you all have the full details of that trip. Now, away from those overseas trips, all normal club activities and events will be taking place. So we have the district conference in Bournemouth in October. We have our golf day and dinner on the 24th of October. If the word golf makes you just switch off, switch on again, because if you don't want to play the golf, everybody is invited to the dinner at the golf club in the evening. Sandy Lodge is Louis' club, Sandy Lodge Golf Club in North London. We have the international dinner at the East India Club, which Nono organises, and her committee on the 2nd of November. Christmas lunch here on the 16th of December. Burns Night, you can imagine who organises that, 21st of January. And the new date to note is our immediate past president's thank you dinner, House of Lords, 13th of February. So thank you. Now our final toast, of course, is always, at the end of our meetings, Rotary and peace the world over. To which end, 3 years ago, this club undertook to support the formation of a Rotary club in Baghdad, the first such club in Iraq. The process has been tortuously long, as Iraqi government consent was required before any such organisation over there can be formed. It's very good news that the consent has been now finally granted. The club charter issued just this May, in time for the Iraqi flag to be flown at the RI convention in Hamburg this June. And I have a letter I'm going to read to you from Barry Razin. Barry Razin, until midnight last night, was the president of Rotary International, number one uno out of 1,200,000 Rotarians. Louis Huey, 2018-19 club president. Tim McAndrews, 2019-20 club president. Dear club presidents, Louis and President-elect Tim, as I approach the end of my term as Rotary president, I'd like to express my appreciation for your support for the first Rotary club in Iraq. It was inspiring to see the Iraqi flag displayed and hear the crowd cheer in response during the opening ceremony of the Hamburg Convention. This special moment wouldn't have been possible without the commitment of the Rotary Club of London to serve as sponsor club for the brand new Rotary Club of Baghdad. Thank you for making the decision to take part in this historic and exciting process. With the ongoing support of Rotarians from the Rotary Club of London, I am confident the Rotary Club of Baghdad has a bright future. Best wishes to you and to your club in all your future endeavours. So that was very nice, and I can tell you that the inaugural charter night will be in the Meridian Hotel, Baghdad. It will be in early September. Past President Clive and myself will go if the date works out okay. And if there is anybody else who wants to come to Baghdad, I know it's not the #1 tourist destination, I do appreciate that. There are sights to be seen and it'll be an interesting meeting. Please speak to Clive or myself. Now, I'd like to mention charity. In the last year, this club has donated over £50,000 to a number of very, very worthwhile causes. And the drive to continue this will, of course, continue. We have a general loose policy that our charities either should be a charity that's introduced by one of our members to us, and or it should be a small local charity. And I very much want that to continue. And if you have any charities as a member of the club, if you have any charities that you support that fit into those brackets, please do let myself or Brian Sluice, the chairman of C&V, know about that. The C&V committee participate in a number of community activities. Some members take part in English language classes at local libraries. The club sends representatives to Patrick's Soup Kitchen twice a year. We assist in collecting monies on Charing Cross Station in support of RNFBI, and of course we very much support the Soho Fete. And all these are very good examples of community activities, and I'm certainly very keen for these to increase or to continue or to increase where that is possible. And whilst I accept that the club profile is different to many clubs, an opportunity was possibly presented when Dame Esther Ranson spoke to us last Monday about seeking volunteers to spend a short amount of time talking on the phone to an elderly person who is lonely. And that is a relatively simple vocational activity that we could potentially all take part in. And I'm going to ask Brian Sluice to further investigate through the C&B committee how our members might be able to participate in that. I'm very pleased to say that I have an excellent group, and I really mean that, of hard-working officers and committee chairs assisting me for the next year. And I know that they're all eager to develop their various committee activities. I want as an example just to cite PP Brian Summers, who last year has gone to enormous lengths to push district sports in this club from effectively nowhere to winning a lot of awards and cups. And I just want to show you, we won, yes, he deserves a clap because this is Brian. Brian himself was the runner-up in the ping pong competition. Let's say no more. Oh, table tennis, not ping. Oh well, is it different? Okay, it's obviously different. Right. Okay, fine. We won cribbage. We don't have the cup because the people are not here, but we won. That was Tom and Julian won cribbage. This is the Scrabble Cup, which has been won by Hugh Kirk. Yeah. Fantastic. So I'll just present it to you. There you go. Take it back again now.
It's not got my name on it.
It's got your name on it. Forevermore. Forevermore.
The last name on it from London was Nick Tart. in 2001.
There you go. Fantastic. Brilliant.
Thank you.
All right, this amazing cup we have won. This is really Brian's efforts because this is for the most improved club in the district. And there's 60 odd clubs in the district. It weighs an absolute ton. I'm going to get it engraved. But, you know, it's easy just to take these cups home and people not to see them. It's called the Millennium Cup. That's it. Got a picture of it, Chicago? Fantastic. That is the Millennium Cup. And well done to you, Brian. We've got Haruka and Brian here, our two scholars. Please stand up just so everybody can see. This is the last time probably you'll be visiting the club. It's been great to have the two of you with us all year. You both are going to stay on for the summer in London and then depart your various ways. So good to have you both here today. I've got a couple of officer investitures to make. First of all, Louis, our immediate past president.
Okay.
We can fit this around the bow tie. I will present you. I will try not to mess it up, indeed. With your past president's collar. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, thank you very much, Louis. It gives me great pleasure to invest you as the club secretary for the 3rd year running. Well done to you and all the hard work you put into this job. Well done, Ian. Thank you very much. And last but definitely not least, Hugh, can I put your treasurer's, if you turn around, put your treasurer's collar on you?
He gets his first 1 day in the year.
What's that?
He gets his display for 1 year in the year.
There you go. Thank you very much, Hugh. Now, Hugh has been our treasurer now. Is this your 9th year or 10th year?
One or the other.
One or the other. He's been the treasurer for quite a long time. Hugh and Janet between them put in so many hours into this club. It's absolutely unbelievable. You probably see the tip of the iceberg here at these meetings. They run events. There's a charity trust to look after, and just general bookkeeping, accounts, chasing people who don't pay their subs, etc., etc., etc. Hugh has said to me that he doesn't want to continue forever, which is entirely reasonable, and he wants an orderly handover over maybe a year, 2 years, something like that. So if there's anybody in the club who would be interested in becoming the treasurer, have a word with me or Hugh, please. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, great.
Sure.
All right.